Well, we're now reaching out to Robert Baines. He's the president and the CEO of the NATO Association of Canada. Mr. Baines, thank you for joining us.
A pleasure, Michael.
Listen, I want to begin with the early reaction that we're seeing to this reported missile strike. What might be happening right now behind closed doors of NATO leadership?
Well, NATO is always a deliberative organization. It is based by a simple idea that an attack upon one is an attack upon all. I think most people know that by now, but getting all 30 parties to agree on anything is always a delicate and very essential process. So that is the whole point of the closed doors. Right now, you're going to have a lot of information being ferried back and forth. Minister Anand today in Parliament was saying that she was just hearing the information, so wasn't going to speculate. There have been many, many repeats of that throughout different NATO countries and their ministers waiting for some concrete evidence to find out what is going on before there is actual action. The key is here that NATO has prepared itself for this eventuality for quite some time, since February 24th, essentially. NATO's goal is to protect every inch of its territory from an aggressor. And in this case, of course, Russian missiles have been, if not expected, then it's been confirmed that they would be hitting Poland just because it's so close to Ukraine. So NATO has been prepared for this. There are going to be discussions about exactly what the nature of these projectiles were. And it will be acting accordingly in a number of different ways.
Well, and to that, there are details that are missing, key details. Was this a Russian missile? Was it off target? Or was it meant to hit this Polish town? How will those details affect the kind of reaction that we're going to see?
Well, regardless, even before those details come to light, NATO is almost certainly going to be enacting what's called Article 4, which is a rallying cry, more or less, to make sure that everybody in the alliance is aware that there is a major security issue going on at the moment, an incident, and that this must be discussed and appropriately responded to. So it's the way for NATO to, without doing anything belligerent, to at least raise the alarm to make sure that everybody is aware of what's going on. So that will almost certainly happen tomorrow. But right now, there are investigators on the ground. The key here being that there has to be some very hard evidence as to what these missiles or projectiles were. If it was a drone that could be targeted easily, or if it was just a missile that could have simply gone off track, that is going to change things significantly. So Article 4 will be able to help direct these investigations and to make sure that there's a united response. Anytime there is inexact information or an incomplete picture, it is the perfect opportunity for division within NATO. That's why concrete information is going to be so important, and why almost no leaders are just jumping the gun and saying, this is going to lead to a retaliation on behalf of NATO against Russia.
Although we are hearing from the Ukrainian president, he is calling this an attack on collective security. What do you think the weight of those words will carry with NATO leadership?
Well, President Zelensky has been very good at riding the line between thanking NATO and the rest of his supporters and cajoling them to do more. That is essentially his job. In the end, though, he has no real say in what NATO does. He does have a tremendous amount of influence, though. So he's doing his job, trying to get NATO to be more involved in Ukraine and to speculate what might be the response of NATO in light of this. It might just be an increase in armaments or other supplies. That would be my guess as to what would happen. Whether or not this was a targeted attack, that will almost certainly happen regardless. So Mr. Zelensky, I think, is just doing his job. NATO is going to be setting aside rush to judgment, and they are going to try to be deliberative and to get that all-important consensus on side.
And of course, we'll keep following the very latest. Robert Baines, thank you very much for the time tonight.
A pleasure.